Om. 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 Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Matre Namaha. Sri Atma Bandhulara. So far, we have completed 65 Zoom sessions. Last week, we couldn't have because of some special circumstances. So now we will have the next one, that is Zoom session 66. In this, the first question is, how many Gitas are there in Hinduism? This is the question. Somebody is asking. My answer is, Gita-related Sanskrit documents in Telugu script. This index of Sanskrit documents categorized as Gita is available in Devanagari, Bengali, Gujarati, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia, Punjabi, Tamil and Telugu scripts, and also as transliterated in Roman script using the iTrans and IAST encoding schemes. Click on the language or script names to use the index in a different language. Format in Devanagari, ITX in iTrans scheme, web page in choice of scripts, information and links. Browse the following links to know as to what are the various Gitas. But of all the Gitas, the Bhagavad Gita stands out as a magnum opus, as it is rendered directly by the God. Sanskrit documents, the importance of the Bhagavad Gita can be found by browsing the following link. What is the most important scripture for Hindus, the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita? Answer by Uday Shivakeshwar. Harivu. Next question. How do I start reading the Bhagavad Gita? I try to read it, but I don't understand anything. My answer is, you approach a guru who can teach you, or else you can buy a good Bhagavad Gita by Sivananda Saraswati Swami or Sri Vidya Prakashananda Guru Swami and read. Simply reading the slokas you will not understand. You must read the commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita written by enlightened souls or by the God-blessed people. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence of all the 18 Puranas, 4 Vedas, 9 Vyakaranas, and the Mahabharata. Naturally, the slokas are loaded with lots of meaning which you can't understand yourself. Self-reading of the Bhagavad Gita gives you the understanding of what it contains, but details have to be learned from the gurus. Next question. Is the dice game the cruelest game ever according to the Gita? Verse 10.36. My answer is, there is nothing to suggest that the game of dice is the cruelest game ever according to Sloka 10-36 of the Bhagavad Gita. However, the Bhagavad Gita says that God himself is the game of dice. In other words, God is there even in a forbidden game like dice. God is in fact there everywhere and in every activity. It is for the humans to select the good and be away from the bad. By giving free will to the humans, God is asking us to restrict our activities such that we indulge only in good activities, leaving the bad actions. In fact, Mahabharata and the dice game show us how bad they are and how intoxicating it can be, even not to care for your own brothers or even your loved wife. Hence, we should refrain from indulging in any gambling. Drinking is another vice that we should avoid. Reading the Kacha and Devayani episode. Browse the following link to know how the society is degenerating, being more attracted towards vices than virtues. 10 facts from Srimad Bhagavad Gita that are coming true today in Kali Yuga. Hari Om. Next question. Which is your favorite chapter of Bhagavad Gita and why? Somebody is asking this question. My answer is my favorite chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is the 10th chapter, the Vibhuti Yoga. The reason for it is this, that you will have a very clear idea of how great God is after reading the 10th chapter. Even though the God has been telling about his greatness on and off from the beginning, and more prominently from the 7th to 9th chapters, about God's Srishti, that is creation, Sthiti, that is sustenance, and the Laya, that is destruction or annihilation. It is only in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita God elaborated more about himself and his powers and potential. At the end of the 10th chapter, God says, what all I have told you about myself is only 1/16th part of my full potential. So I got convinced that the God is very, very, very powerful, and it is beyond my or anyone's imagination. I therefore regretted for not knowing this full potential until I read the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Incidentally, even Arjuna was fully convinced of the fact about the God only after the preaching of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In Sloka 11-1, Arjuna confirmed this fact. Moreover, with so many encounters and enlightened exposures with God, I am more than convinced that God is very, 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 very powerful and beyond one's perspective and even imagination or explanation. God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibus. You read and you will also convinced. You will also be convinced about the God and his greatness after reading the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter. Hari Om. Next question. Why are there too many contradictions in various Hindu scriptures, Vedas, Puranas, Gita, etc.? My answer is, instead of making a qualitative statement that there are contradictions, if you bring specific issues and specific scripture, our representatives will suitably and adequately address such issues. However, they must be based on original text, not cinema scripts. I am challenging the questioner about the question. Please come out with detail. Please don't make off-the-cuff remarks. Hari Om. Next question. How many slokas are there in the Bhagavad Gita? Some say 18,000, but in Wikipedia it mentioned that there are 700 verses by Vyasadeva. My answer is, the Bhagavad Gita contains 700 slokas as given in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. Browse through the following link to know more about your question. Buddha Shivakeshan's answer to how many slokas does the Bhagavad Gita contain? Buddha Shivakeshan's answer to the total number of verses in the Bhagavad Gita is 700, but the chapter verses are different in chapter 1 and chapter 13. It is 47 plus 34 in one and 46 plus 35 in the other. The rest of the chapters have the same number of verses. So which one is correct and why? My answer is, the total number of slokas of Bhagavad Gita available to humanity as on today are 701. The correct number of slokas in chapter 1 are 47, and the correct number of slokas in chapter 13 are 35. I hope this clears your doubt. Hari Om. The details are as follows. According to Vyasa, the slokas in Bhagavad Gita are as follows. सत्स्यतानि सविंशानि श्लोकानां प्राह केशवः अर्जुन सप्तपञ्चाशत् सप्तषष्टञ्च सञ्जयः धृतराष्ट्रश्लोकमेकं गीताया मानमुच्यते. This is Mahabharata, Bhishma Param, 43rd Adhyayam, 4th Sloka. According to the above sloka in Bhagavad Gita, composition of slokas are as follows. Lord Krishna, Kesava 620, Arjuna 57, Sanjaya 67, Dhritarashtra 1, total 745. However, as on today, only 701 slokas are available from Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 1, in the first chapter, the composition of 47 slokas are as follows. Dhritarashtra 1 number, Arjuna 21 numbers, Sanjaya 25 numbers. Chapter 13, in the 13th chapter, the composition of 35 slokas are as follows. Arjuna 1 number, Bhagavan Krishna 34 numbers. I hope your doubt has been duly clarified. Next question, which one would be good to take first foundation, Vedanta or the Bhagavad Gita from the Chinmaya organization? My answer is, Chinmaya organization conducts the courses nicely. First you read both the modules and what is being covered in each module. Depending on both these modules, you can join the one which is most useful to you. If you want to learn about the Vedanta, you can go for it. If you want only the Bhagavad Gita, you can opt for the Bhagavad Gita. I would personally advise you to go for the Bhagavad Gita first. If time permits and if you are more interested, then you can go for the Vedanta foundation. But learn about the Bhagavad Gita first. Hari. Next question, what is the impact of Bhagavad Gita on youth? My answer is, Bhagavad Gita is the world's constitution, based on which the God is running this universe. So by taking to the Bhagavad Gita in early age, the youth can take full advantage of the contents of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita contains all the living principles of life, including the success sutras in all walks of human life. Browse the following link for further details regarding the management principles of life. Good day Shivakesham's answer to, is the Bhagavad Gita advisable for an 18-year-old? What is the impact of Bhagavad Gita on youth? Bhagavad Gita is the world's constitution based on which the God is running this universe. So by taking the Bhagavad Gita in early age, the youth can take full advantage of the contents of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita contains all the living principles of life, including the success sutras in all walks of human life. Browse the following link for further details regarding the management principles of life. What is Shivakesham's answer to, is the Bhagavad Gita advisable for an 18-year-old? Myself and my wife practiced Bhagavad Gita for more than 25 years. Prahlada, the son of Hiranyakashipa, inherited spirituality from the womb of her mother, Lilavati. At the age of 5 years, he became knowledgeable enough to know all the knowledge, by knowing which there is no need to know anything further. Dhruva, the son of Uttanapada, was taught Narayana Mantram by the sage Narada. He prayed to Lord Narayana and got blessed by the god. Today he is shining in the sky as the pole star. Adi Shankaracharya mastered all Vedas by 8 years, and he earned the name of Jagat Guru and wrote about 108 books on spirituality. So 18 years is a very good age to take to Bhagavad Gita. People think that by taking to the Bhagavad Gita, they will become detached from the world and worldly matters. This notion is fully ill-founded and is intended to seduce the society from becoming a pious, righteous society with an ulterior motive to keep bad characters in large numbers. This is a bad propaganda by some vested interests to dissuade people from getting enlightenment at early age. I am a scientist by profession, but myself and my wife regretted for having not read the Bhagavad Gita until we became beyond 40 years. However, we used to feel that at least we realized even after 40 years of age. Otherwise, we would have wasted yet another life. We practiced the Bhagavad Gita with great devotion and dedication, and we both were blessed by the God. We practiced the Bhagavad Gita, got enlightened by being married and living as married couple. After enlightenment, we were requested to head the ashrams by taking to Vanaprastham or Sannyasam. However, we decided to remain as Grihasthus as we attained everything in the Grihasthashram itself. God said in Sloka 5-2 of the Bhagavad Gita that Karma Yogam, doing your duty in whatever profession one chooses, is better than the Karma Sannyasam, that is renouncing everything of the material world and leading the life of an ascetic. So be proud to be an early starter of the Bhagavad Gita by being a teenager. By reading the Bhagavad Gita at an early age, you can do wonderful things to the world, as you will have the energy left in you to put to practice whatever knowledge you would have gained from the understanding and practicing the principles of the Bhagavad Gita. All the best. Read the Bhagavad Gita unhesitatingly at the early age. You can read our Bhagavad Gita, if you know Telugu, from the following link. Display the title book. Browse through the following link also as to why you should read the Bhagavad Gita at the earliest so that you are benefited from the management principle derived from the Bhagavad Gita. Vajra Shivakesan's answer to what are some management principles that can be found in the Bhagavad Gita. Hari Om. Question being asked is, what managerial principles can the Bhagavad Gita teach us? Before answering the question, we should know what are the reasons for the failure of leadership. The reasons for failure of leadership can be summarized as under: adverse characteristics or circumstances inherited by the leader, not having a single-minded devotion in life, not trying to grow beyond being average and not working with devotion and determination, not having adequate education or knowledge, lack of self-control or lack of character, ill health, overeating, nurturing or harboring impure thoughts, not having the least amount of bodily exercise, disorders, and ill health pertaining to the respiratory tract, etc., adverse circumstances in childhood, vitiated atmosphere, and its continued influence on the child behavior patterns, lack of firmness, having mind filled with impure thoughts and emotions, undecidedness or vacillation on deciding, not being able to take decision or delayed decision, uncontrollable lust, nurturing desires to acquire everything as a windfall gain, not able to decide on issues in a logical manner, unfounded fear and anxiety, not having the right type of life partner, being over careful, having required to move with colleagues of diametrically opposite views in profession and business, superstition, to pre-decide on men and matters without any basis, to choose profession or work in life not to one's liking, not investing the required efforts, lack of concentration on the work, to indulge in extravaganza, unable to show interest in any issue, intolerance, that is lack of tolerance, unnatural or indiscreet behavior, showing lack of cooperation to others, getting power or position, using money as a bait, not hard-earned. So those are the reasons for failure of leadership. So before becoming a leader, one must become a good follower and learn everything. It is said that today's student is tomorrow's teacher and today's child is tomorrow's father. Therefore, one who is a good student will automatically become a good teacher, and a good child is bound to become a good father. One should therefore be able to imagine the shape of things to come in life to a certain extent. Imagination is handiwork of mind. When the man is making a plan, he assumes certain shape and identity so that he can execute it without difficulty. So we must have foresight and vision to avoid factors responsible for failures of leadership. Next, we must understand about the positive qualities of acclaimed leaders. The following are some of the positive qualities of an acclaimed leader, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Number 1, knowledge, skill, and experience of the leader, which may be collectively called competence. Number 2, courageousness. Number 3, self-determination. Number 4, to possess skill in examining in-depth details. Number 5, to show willingness in taking total responsibilities. Number 6, skill in preparing plans. Number 7, to feel that one should work more than what one is paid for. Number 8, to possess present personality to keep everybody happy. Number 9, to have benign qualities. Number 10, to have a heart to understand others. Number 11, to be able to extend assistance and cooperation. Number 12, keeping oneself in self-control. Number 13, keen observation in life regarding justice. Number 14, firmness in taking decisions. The following are some of the other important reasons for failures of leadership: not being able to arrange the details in sequential order, lack of service attitude, selfishness, hastiness, lack of faith, to indulge in acts of deceit, to indulge in overbearing attitude, to indulge in activities to publicize his own credentials, to expect reward even for the knowledge one possesses rather than the work one does, to be afraid of competition from colleagues, not being able to imagine the real scenario or circumstances. The above are some of the principles derived from the Bhagavad Gita, which are used in the management principles and managerial practices. Hari Om. Next question. What does one need to understand in order to proceed on the path of Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga? Is it Bhagavad Gita alone, or are there many more texts to be complemented? If yes, which are the other texts does one need to read and finally understand? My answer is, for retaining Jnanam, Bhagavad Gita is more than sufficient. If you read, understand, and practice the Bhagavad Gita, we don't need the help of any other text to attain Jnanam and also for salvation, liberation, or moksha. Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence of all the Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and all the scriptures. If you follow and practice a single Bhagavad Gita, it is as good as practicing all the scriptures. So read and understand and practice the Bhagavad Gita without hesitation. Next question. The Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate knowledge imparted by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. So why do people not take the literal meaning and rather interpret it in other ways just to suit their interests? My answer is, Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence of the 18 Puranas, 9 Vyakaranas, 4 Vedas, and the gist of the Mahabharata spread over 1 lakh slokas. The summary and substance of all the above scriptures is just packed in 700 slokas of the Bhagavad Gita. Even among them, if you take out the slokas spoken by Dhritarashtra, 1 sloka, Sanjaya, 41 slokas, and Arjuna, 84 slokas, the preaching of the Lord Krishna are confined to only merely 574 slokas. So you can imagine how crammed is the information included in the Bhagavad Gita slokas. It is therefore no wonder that each person trying to understand and interpret the Bhagavad Gita would find many facets of its meaning. The scholars and pundits specially find fancy in interpretations like literary work, but that is a very, very wrong way of looking at the meaning of the preachings of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the reason I always insist on the readers of the Bhagavad Gita to read only those Bhagavad Gitas which are written by enlightened people. Enlightened people try to interpret the Bhagavad Gita only in the way the God intended to preach it to the world, and they don't add their own masala. However, scholars and pundits, especially erudite scholars, show off their scholarliness by pouring in their knowledge from the other texts thoroughly studied by them. Listeners are also carried away by the scholarliness of the speaker than the actual contents of the Bhagavad Gita. However, as a spiritual devotee, you should ward off from such scholarly interpretation, but study Bhagavad Gita commentaries written only by the enlightened people, explaining the God's magnificent message to humanity. Most of the enlightened people wrote Bhagavad Gita in their own mother tongue, and therefore English Bhagavad Gitas are not available. Myself and my wife wrote the Bhagavad Gita after enlightenment in Telugu language, entitled Srimad Bhagavad Gita Mukti Sopanamu Tatparishata Vyakhyanam by Dr. Buddheshwakesam. These details are given elsewhere. You can refer to them. Next question. As a Muslim read the Bhagavad Gita and felt ashamed of the Quran and being a Muslim. My answer is, Are bhai, why do you want to drive a wedge between Bhagavad Gita followers and Quran followers? Kabir Das was a born Muslim, but he became a Rama Bhakta. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi is a Muslim, but he is in the BJP. Allow people to do whatever they want to do. Don't object. Don't interfere. Live and let live, people. Our country stands for unity in diversity. Don't disturb that arrangement. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Hari Om. Next question. Why should there be a Bhagavad Gita research center? My answer is, Bhagavad Gita being the quintessence of all the scriptures, we should have a research center to explore the following. The original Bhagavad Gita, as per the Mahabharata, should have 745 slokas. However, as on today, we have got only 700 slokas. Active research may be conducted to find out the reasons for the balance 45 slokas. During the Treta Yugam, sage Vasishtha Maharshi preached Yoga Vasistham to Lord Sri Ram. At that time, sage predicted that in the Dwapara Yugam, Bhagavad Gita would be preached to Arjuna by Lord Sri Krishna during Mahabharata wartime. Refer to Uddeshavakesam's answer to why is Yoga Vasistham of Valmiki not as popular as Srimad Bhagavad Gita when both are life books of Indian origin. It can be researched to find out the common slokas or similar slokas of the Bhagavad Gita in 108 Puranas, 108 Upanishads, 4 Vedas, 9 Vyakaranas, etc. Bhagavad Gita is believed to be translated into all major languages of the world. It is worthwhile to find what factors are driving that the widespread acceptability of the Bhagavad Gita, particularly in the Western countries, for the fascination of the Bhagavad Gita in those countries. Hari Om. Next question. Is Bhagavad Gita said that to kill animals is a sin? What happens when we cut or kill vegetables as they also have sensations? My answer is, when we cut our nails or hair, we don't feel pain because they are not connected directly with the nerves. Similarly, when we pluck the vegetables from the plants, the vegetable plants do not feel the pain. I hope you understand the situation. However, in the case of animals, they feel the pain just like human beings whenever and wherever we attempt to kill them or cut them. All living beings have the following 4 properties in common: hunger, sleep, fear, and mating with the partners of opposite sex. These things are not shared by the plants. Next question. What are the 5 kinds of air in which the atomic soul is floating as described in the Gita text 2.17? My answer is, there is no reference even remotely to the 5 elements of nature or air or any other positions of the human being in the sloka 2-17 of the Bhagavad Gita. So I consider the question you asked is wrongly addressed. If you ask for Connaught Place in Chennai or for Mount Road in Delhi, nobody can answer that question as they are considered as wrongly addressed. If you check back your question properly and address with correct context, it can be answered, but not otherwise. Next question. Where can I get the complete Bhagavad Gita in Telugu with the meaning of PDF? My answer is, I doubt very much whether you can get the Bhagavad Gita in Telugu in PDF format. However, myself and my wife wrote a Bhagavad Gita entitled Srimad Bhagavad Gita Mukti Sopanamu Tatparishata Vyakhyanam by Dr. Buddheshwakesam. I have given its details while answering other questions, so kindly refer to them. Next question. What is the total number of Sanskrit slokas in Gita in the beginning and presently? My answer is, browse the following links for further details regarding your question. Buddheshwakesham's answer to how many slokas does the Bhagavad Gita contain? Next question. What are the drawbacks of Bhagavad Gita? My answer is the only drawback of Bhagavad Gita is that it is written in Sanskrit. However, all the scriptures, for that matter, are in Sanskrit. Knowing fully well that all our scriptures are written in Sanskrit, Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad, then President of India, should not have voted for Hindi as our national language. He should have voted for Sanskrit as the national language. If he had done that, by now all our scriptures would have become a byword in our families. Everybody, whoever reads the Bhagavad Gita must understand the correct meaning as originally intended by the God. However, as people cannot understand the Sanskrit slokas, they depend on the available translation. This is a serious mistake being done by the readers of the Bhagavad Gita. People should read only translations of the Bhagavad Gita written by enlightened souls. This will avoid wrong interpretations and distorted understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. Readers should not therefore read the commentaries of people who are not enlightened. Such commentaries will lead to misunderstanding of the text of the Bhagavad Gita. Commentaries of the following enlightened people are suggested. That is, Buddha Shivaka's answer to what advice you would give to a person who wants to read Bhagavad Gita. Next question. When and who divided the Gita in 18 chapters? My answer is Mahabharata was written by sage Vyasa. The same sage Vyasa also wrote the Bhagavad Gita as a part of Mahabharata. So it was sage Vyasa who wrote, while writing the Mahabharata consisting of 1,00,000 slokas, divided the Bhagavad Gita containing 700 slokas into 18 chapters. Bhagavad Gita, which was personally rendered by the Lord Krishna himself, is considered the quintessence of all the 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, and 9 Vyakaranas. Further, Mahabharata, which was the essence of all the 4 Vedas, was further churned by the Lord Krishna, and the essence of Mahabharata was taken out by the Lord Sri Krishna himself personally in the form of the cream of Mahabharata. That cream was taken out in the form of 700 slokas and fed into Arjuna, the Pandava prince. Sage Vyasa gave that celestial song sung by Lord Sri Krishna as the Bhagavad Gita and handed down to the humanity as a gift from the God. The Bhagavad Gita rendered by Lord Sri Krishna was structured into the Sanskrit slokas as given in the link below. Buddha Shivakesham's answer to how many different matters are used in the Bhagavad Gita. The 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita consist of the following details as contained in the link below. Buddha Shivakesham's answer to how many chapters are there in the Bhagavad Gita. Next question, which scripture can we read from Bhagavad Gita? Answer, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the scriptures that are available for the people. For example, among the 4 Vedas, 9 Vyakaranas, 18 Puranas, and even from the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the quintessence of all the scriptures. So, by reading the single Bhagavad Gita, you get the full effect of having read all the scriptures. Having read the single text of the Bhagavad Gita, you need not read any other scripture. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the quintessence of all the scriptures. Having read the single Bhagavad Gita, you are deemed to have read all the scriptures, text of the Sanatana Dharma. Next question, what are the benefits of learning Sanskrit and reading the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita? My answer is, by learning Sanskrit, we can know the great heritage and culture of our country, India. Sanskrit is called the Deva Bhasha, God's language. Vedas teach us the way life of the Hindus in India in the real sense, because the Vedas are pregnant with all the knowledge the humans want in all walks of human's life. Bhagavad Gita teaches you in codified way or the simple terms what is to be done and what is not to be done in the life of the human. As a result of reading all the 3 above, Sanskrit, Vedas, and Bhagavad Gita, a human being becomes worthy of the human life. Otherwise, we remain ignorant just like illiterate, or we become educated ignoramuses. Harivu. Next question. Why do some people follow Bhagavad Gita although it is not based on Advaita Vedanta? My answer is, who says that Bhagavad Gita is not based on Advaita Vedanta? Bhagavad Gita is nothing but full of Advaita Vedanta. Your information that the Bhagavad Gita is not based on Advaita Vedanta is ill-founded and is misplaced. Please read the Bhagavad Gita, understand and see whether it is full of Advaita Vedanta or not. Read a part of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Shloka as given below. Advaitamritavarshiniim bhagavatim ashtadashyadhyayinim ambattvamanusandhadami Bhagavad Gita bhavadveshinim. But please do not pass an off-the-cuff remark like this with the Bhagavad Gita is not based on Advaita Vedanta. Such remarks tend to spread misinformation and will also mislead the public. It is not good practice to do that. I request you not to do that. Haribo. Next question. Which verse of the Bhagavad Gita is the most popular among common people? My answer is God himself has prescribed 4 ashramams to his devotees to adapt. They are 4 ashrams to follow are brahmacharyam, grihastham, vanaprastham and sannyasam. Similarly, God has also allotted to his devotees 4 different routes for reaching God. These 4 routes are karma yogam, bhakti yogam, dhyana yogam and jnana yogam. Irrespective of the ashrams and routes of devotion being followed by his devotees, God promised the same ultimate and the highest level of attainment to all his devotees, namely moksham, liberation, salvation, equally for all his devotees. So different devotees belonging to different routes, following different slokas as the popular sloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yogam people follow sloka 247 as the popular sloka among all. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetudbhu mato sangostva akarmani. Bhakti Yogam people follow sloka 4-8 as the popular sloka among all. Paritranaya sadhunam vinachaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanardhaya sambhavami yuga yuge. Dhyana Yogam people follow the sloka 6-46 as the popular sloka among all. Tapasvibhyo dhiko yogi jnanibhyo pi matodhika karmibhyacha dhiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavajna. Jnana Yogam people follow sloka 18-66 as the popular sloka among all. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja hantva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami matya. Some people may follow more than one sloka from each route for each ashrama. It is not important as to which sloka you are following, but if you follow the Bhagavad Gita slokas, it is important to note that the highest achievement or result can be attained by anybody of the Bhagavad Gita devotee. As proof of this statement, read the following sloka from the Varaha Purana. Yetam asritya baho bhubujo janakadaya nirdota kalmasha loke yetayata param padam. The meaning of the above sloka is as follows. By taking refuge in the Bhagavad Gita, people like King Janaka, etc., who are ruling even kingdoms, got their sins dissolved and obtained Paramapadam. So it is assured that any devotee of any denomination from any ashram or route would get the highest achievement of Paramapadam if they take even to one sloka of the Bhagavad Gita with sincerity, devotion and dedication in their life. God himself promised this in the sloka 10-10 and 10-11 of the Bhagavad Gita as under. Tesham satatayuktanam bhritam prichipurokam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena ma upayantite. That is 10-10. Meaning is, to them who are ever steadfast, worshipping me, that is God, with love, I give the yoga of discrimination by which they come to me. Devotees who have dedicated themselves to the Lord, who are ever harmonious and self-abiding, who adore him with intense love, who are ever devout, obtain the divine grace, irrespective of the route or ashram the devotee choose. Next question, 10-11 is, Tesham evanukampardham ahamajnanajam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavasto jnanadipena bharta. That is 10-11. Meaning is, out of the mere compassion for them, that is devotees, I, that is God, dwelling within their self or individuals, destroy the darkness in them, born of ignorance, by the luminous lamp of knowledge. So have faith and devotion in the God and the Bhagavad Gita. We are bound to get redemption without doubt. This is what Lord Sri Krishna promised in 9-34 and 18-65 of the Bhagavad Gita. Read my answers about these 2 slokas at other places. Next question. If everyone followed the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, would the world be a more peaceful place? My answer is, if the whole of the world followed the preachings of the Bhagavad Gita, the world would be the heaven on earth. The jealousy, the anger, the greed, the exploitation, the cheating, the bribery, the deceit, etc., and other such bad or devilish qualities in the public will disappear, and only the divine quality which are welcomed by all people only will prevail wherever you go. The so-called police force, the courts, the military and paramilitary services would be either totally done away with or they would be reduced to the barest minimum. Camaraderie would increase, mutual trust will improve. The documentation required for agreements and affidavits would be drastically reduced. Just as the present family life in extended families, the whole world and the society would live like an extended family, or the Vasudhaiva Kutumbam would become a reality in practice. Let us hope that a day will come when the Bhagavad Gita is followed and practiced all over the world. ओम सर्वेत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु ओम लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 ओम शंभो शिव 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 शंभो शिव 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 शंभो शिव 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 नारायण 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 हरि ओम ओम तत्सत् ओम. Next question is, what is the indirect speech of Gita? Said, I do yoga daily. My answer is, you asked me a question as to what is the indirect speech of Gita said. I do yoga daily. The answer is as under. Gita told that she would do the yoga daily. Most of the questions and honors on the Bhagavad Gita given here are from my Quora answers given by me during the period April 2016 to May 2020. I used to write answers on different subjects of my interest. There were as many as 23 different subjects on which I used to write the answers. In all the 23 subjects, I was one of the most viewed writers on Quora. Sometimes I used to write on English grammar also. You can verify this from Quora. The above question is a typical example of what knowledge, respect, and regard the Quora team has got towards the Bhagavad Gita. Quora's team used to work with scant respect for Indian culture, Hinduism, and the Hindu scriptures. They classified an English grammar question under the Bhagavad Gita simply because the subject in the above sentence is Gita. This is the best example of Quora's knowledge, respect, and regard they and the team of Quora have got for the sacred text of India, namely the Bhagavad Gita. I pity for their ignorance. Next question. Is the original text of the Bhagavad Gita written relatively standard Sanskrit? My answer is, standard Sanskrit slokas only were written in the Bhagavad Gita. Browse the following link for further details regarding the Chandasu used in the Bhagavad Gita. Buddha's evocations answer to how many different meters are used in the Bhagavad Gita. Next question. Is the threefold path according to philosophy in Bhagavad Gita and Pita Prajna the same? My answer is, you seem to be confused in your questions. You have raised two issues in your question, threefold path and Stita Prajnatam. As I can make out, the threefold path is the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogam being referred to by you, maybe in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The Chetaprajnatam being referred to by you may be in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita called as Sankhya Yoga. Slokas 253 to 272 deal with the Chetaprajnatam. These are two different and distinctive entities. Do not get confused. Sort out what exactly is your doubt and come back with a fresh question so that your question can be addressed with the importance it deserves. Next question. Which authors or gurus Bhagavad Gita do you follow? My answer is, we belong to the Vyasashram Sampradayam of Erkudu in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. Sadguru Maharshi Malayala Swami is our Paramaguru. Know more about him in the link below. Malayala Swami Wikipedia. I followed the book one given in the link below, and myself and my wife wrote the book two given in the link below. Browse to the following link for further detail. Udesh Shivkeshan's answer to what is a good book to learn about the Bhagavad Gita. Next question. Why are there so many versions of the Bhagavad Gita? My answer is, there is only one version of the Bhagavad Gita. There are many interpretations for the Bhagavad Gita. It is like the text of science. The contents are the same, but different teachers teach the same subject differently. If each teacher teaching the science subject writes a different guide for the same subject of science, we call it the guide. Similarly, different commentators have commented differently on the same text of the Bhagavad Gita. So, text of the Bhagavad Gita is the same, consisting of the 700 slokas, but the commentaries are different by different authors. Hariyo. Next question, which is the biggest chapter in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita? My answer is, chapter 18 called Moksha Sannyasa Yogam has 78 slokas in all and is the biggest of all the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. In a way, it also summarizes all the important principles preached earlier in all the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Slokas 18-51, 18-52, and 18-53 represent the essential summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita, consisting of all the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. The last sloka, 18-78, is called as the single sloka of Bhagavad Gita or the Ekashloki Gita. In a way, chapter 18, may also be called as the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Next question, how are the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita similar and different? My answer is, Vedas are aporishayas, meaning that they are not written by any human being. They are rendered by God himself, or the rishis. Rishis remembered them and propagated the Vedas from generation to generation through the word of mouth. This happened after human creation and when there was no script. It was Sage Vyasa who codified all the Vedas and scripted them during the Mahabharata time. Lord Sri Krishna, who is none other than Sri Mahavishnu, who incarnated during the time of Mahabharata, rendered the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, the Pandava prince. While the Mahabharata, a text of 1 lakh slokas, is the essence of the 18 Puranas, 9 Vyakaranas, and 4 Vedas. It was written by the sage Vyasa as a family story of the Kuru clan, he himself being the progenitor. From such Mahabharata containing 1 lakh slokas, Lord Krishna took out the essence and preached to the Arjuna, the Pandava prince, during the Kurukshetra war in the form of Bhagavad Gita containing 700 slokas. So we can say that Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence of all the 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, 9 Vyakaranas, and Mahabharata as well. Bhagavad Gita is thus the cream of Vedas and the quintessence of all the scriptural texts. Next sloka. In which verse sloka of the Bhagavad Gita is the law of karma explained? My answer is, it is told so many places, at so many places, but you will no longer be able to understand the meaning of those slokas yourself unless you take the help of a guru. Anyway, I am giving below some slokas which you can try to understand. They are 2-56, 9-20, 9-21, 12-13, 14-26, 14-27, 15-2, etc., etc. Next question. Why are some people posting fake quotes not present in Bhagavad Gita, telling they are from Bhagavad Gita? What do they get by doing such things? My answer is, some unscrupulous people who are not interested in conforming to the righteousness of character and conduct want to spoil the fair image of the Bhagavad Gita. It is only because of such people the greatest of the great works of a book like Bhagavad Gita has not been allowed to see the light of its day for more than 5,200 long years. If the contents of this great text had received the attention it deserved, this world would not have been spoiled so much as it is today. Even now, people are spreading all types of canards on the greatest of the scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita. I only pray to God that God blesses them with the wisdom and prudence to read and understand the contents of this great treatise of the world's constitution, based on which this whole world is being run by the God Almighty. Next question, what is the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in present time? My answer is, browse through the following links for further details regarding the answer to your question and the relevance of the Bhagavad Gita in present times of 21st century. Good day showcases answer to what is the relevance of the Bhagavad Gita in the 21st century. Next question, is it mandatory for a woman to get married according to the Bhagavad Gita? What if woman does not want to get married? Is it sin according to Bhagavad Gita? My answer is, it is not mandatory for a woman to get married according to the Bhagavad Gita. It is not a sin according to Bhagavad Gita if a woman does not want to get married. They can lead a life of brahmacharini, spinster, but should lead a dignified life throughout their full lifetime, remaining a single, never married woman without giving any problems to the society. Next question, which one should be read first, the Vedas or the Gita? My answer is, there is no point in reading the Vedas and wasting your valuable time. Straight away go to the Bhagavad Gita. Read, reread till you understand. Seek the help of a guru to guide you through the right path and practice the principles enunciated therein in the Bhagavad Gita. Next question, what are the life lessons from Gita? My answer is, browse through the following links for further details regarding the answer to your questions on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Good day showcases answer to what is the relevance of the Bhagavad Gita in the 21st century. Next question, what is the true meaning of the Bhagavad Gita? 11-15. My answer is, after the preachings of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the ill-ridden illusion or moha of Arjuna has vanished. He endorsed that in Shloka 11-1 of the Bhagavad Gita. Having been bewildered by the magnificent capacity of the God as described in the 10th chapter, Arjuna requested Lord Krishna to show him the effulgent form of the God. Conceding to the request of Arjuna, the Lord Krishna showed the Vishwarupam to Arjuna. Looking at the effulgent form of the God, Arjuna described what he saw in the Vishwarupam from 11-15 to 11-31 slokas of the Bhagavad Gita. 11-15 is the first opening sloka of the Vishwarupam as described by Arjuna. Arjuna Uvacha Paschami Devam Tavadevadehe Sarvam Tada Bhuta Vishesha Sangham Brahmanamisham Kamalatanattam Rishim Cha Sarvam Naragam Chadija. Meaning of the above sloka is, O Deva, I am seeing in your body all the deities, all the other animate and inanimate groups and conglomerates. Similarly, I am seeing the Lord Brahma as the creator of the world and seated in the lotus flower. I am seeing all the sages and saints beside the precious serpent. 11-15. I hope I have answered your question. Next question. Should Bhagavad Gita be compulsorily taught at education institutes in India as a moral educational textbook? My answer is, this question keeps coming up now and then. Society has already deteriorated to a significant extent because of lack of moral education at the formative age for the school children. In the name of being the secular nation, we cannot afford to the extravaganza of irrelevant lessons of education without any meaningful human values in our daily life. Ultimately, everything in this world is for human welfare. I don't think anybody disagrees on this issue. Every religion preaches some good moral values. So that all religious heads sit together and decide on some minimum lessons of moral education at the school level. Let that be called as moral science subject. I had already given my other views on this subject earlier, which may be perused by the people who are interested in reading by browsing through the relevant links. Next question is, what is the exact meaning of 7-19 of Bhagavad Gita? My answer is, slokas 7-19 of the Bhagavad Gita Bahunam janmanamanti jnanavan mam prapadyati vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Its meaning is, after many, many births and deaths, anyone who is actually in the knowledge of the God Almighty, surrenders unto me, that is God, knowing me, that is God, to be the cause of all causes, that is supreme, is Vasudeva, all that is. Such a soul is great, and such great soul is very, very rare. This is the meaning of Sloka 19. By living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, many actually become situated in a transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he or she becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to Him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, and that He, Lord Krishna, is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifest in this world is not different from Him. He, the devotee, realizes that the material world is nothing but a perverted reflection of the spiritual variegatedness of the God, and the devotee realizes that in every that one sees in this world, there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna, that is God. That he, devotee, thinks of everything in realization to Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna at the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very, very rare. Conclusion: it is not an easy thing for everyone to understand that what is there in this world, or more precisely the universe, is nothing but all the manifestations of the God, as described at length in chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Such of those people who are very, very rare, one in many, many millions, as already told by the God in Sloka 7-3 of the Bhagavad Gita, are not only difficult to find, but they are the rarest among the rare. And such people are called by the God as Mahatmas in this sloka 19 of the Bhagavad Gita. I hope I have answered your question. If you have any further doubts, I shall try to explain further. Next question. Bhagavad Gita states that Lord is the supreme controller of all the living beings. Then how do people get engaged in criminal and unethical actions? Why does the Lord not stop people from doing so? My answer is God is a silent spectator. He is impartial. He doesn't take interest in any individual and any issue whatsoever, unless warranted, which is very, very rare case. The sun shines equally on good and bad people. Good people may be taking advantage of the sun and undertake pious activities, but bad people may be indulging in criminal activities during the same time under the sunlight. The sun god is untouched either by the good activities performed by the good people or the bad activities undertaken by the bad people. Similarly, God is only a silent spectator of all the activities done by both good and bad. But the God will suitably give award for good people and punishment for bad people without fail. This is his foolproof justice system. People indulge in bad activities because of lack of scriptural knowledge. It is because of this lack of scriptural knowledge people indulge in bad actions and activities. Because God has given free will to all the people, God does not interfere or intervene in anybody's life or his or her activities. However, God gives the karma phalam without any exceptions to all the people all over the globe and at all times. Because the karma phalam may take some times, even beyond one or two births, ignorant people think that God is not watching their own bad karma and are able to hoodwink even the God. That is why the people keep indulging in heinous activities unhindered by the God. But God gives the karma phalam compulsorily without exceptions, either in this birth or next birth or in other births beyond several births. However, God does not interfere in any way, just as the sun example given above. I hope I have clarified your questions on the issues raised. Next question: how can we practice Bhagavad Gita teaching in our daily lives, which is so materialistic? My answer is browse through the following links for further details regarding this. answer to your questions on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Uddesha questions answer to what is the relevance of the Bhagavad Gita in the 21st century. Next question, what are the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita not part of our education in India? My answer is, browse through the following links for further details regarding the answer to your question on not teaching the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita in the school India. Today's occasions answer 2. What are your views about introducing Srimad Bhagavad Gita as a subject of study for school students? Today's occasions answer 2. Why is Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Bhagavad Gita not taught in school? Well, history of Mughals is taught in school. Hari Om. So, I think I have completed the question answer parts, what I wanted to tell you. But there may be, other aspects in question answer forms. Originally, I intended to divide Bhagavad Gita into 4 broad heads, that is Purusharthas: Dharmam, Artham, Kamam, Moksham. But the part which we have covered so far in question answers is mainly on the Bhagavad Gita slokas only. So from the next session onwards, I will be concentrating on Artham. Artham means money, how to earn money in this life, following Bhagavad Gita. So for today's ending, I pray the God and close the today's discourse. Om Yadaksharapadabhrashtam matra heenam cha yadbhavet tatsarvam kshamyatam deva paramesha namostute harihi om tatsat.